Under economic pressure, widows, daughters, and newly freed women all sought to earn their keep in ways that before the Civil War they might have avoided. This raised fears that women's labor would not merely prevent young women from learning domestic skills, but would undermine the capacity of mothers to perform their duties. We have seen, for example, that between the beginning of the Civil War and 1870, about 300,000 new women who would not otherwise have been in the wage labor force, entered the workforce. The numbers stalled briefly right after the war and then began to climb astronomically as new immigrants arriving in the 1880s and after flooded into urban jobs. This is the period when the ready-made clothing industry developed. You'll remember that the garment industry employed sometimes 60% of working women in large cities. Women eagerly adopted the new sewing machine, expecting their wages to go up as productivity increased. But not only did piecework rates drop dramatically, men flocked into the industry. As wages contracted, men turned to higher-paying men's clothing lines, and women became the majority of machine operators in the women's clothing sector. Then came the contracting system. Before the war and during its early years, women working on army uniforms obtained their work directly from government arsenals. When they returned the completed work, they were paid an agreed-upon sum. During the war, subcontractors stepped in to distribute the work to women. These middlemen paid the women less, returned the work to the arsenal, and pocketed the difference. Women's protests notwithstanding, subcontracting became the model for the garment industry after war's end. Manufacturers divided their orders into small portions that they offered to the subcontractors who bid the lowest prices. In order to make a profit, the subcontractor paid workers, often women, the lowest possible wage. When the women returned the completed bundles of clothing, they often found the contractor trying to lower the price further. This piece wasn't well made, he might complain. That piece wasn't made to specification. He might even argue that he had given an operator a dozen pieces and she had returned only 10. And if the bundle came in an hour or two late, the contractor might impose a fine or pay less, leaving the helpless worker with no recourse. With the customers squeezing the factor who in turn squeezed the subcontractor who squeezed the worker, pay tumbled. Under these conditions, wage-earning women could hardly survive, much less find refuge in home values or the domestic code by which others expected to live.